I never told my fiancé that I had volunteered for the overnight shift on Christmas Eve. I never told him that his mother had personally asked me not to attend her biggest charity event of the year. And I definitely never told him that before that night was over, I would save the life of the most powerful man in the city. If I had known what was coming, maybe I would have done things differently. Maybe. My name is Emma Carter, and 3 days before Christmas, my entire future changed because of one phone call. I was organizing supplies in the emergency department when my phone started vibrating inside my pocket. The screen showed one name. Ryan. My fiancé. I answered with a smile. Hey, Em, he said. His voice sounded nervous. Can we talk about something? That tone. I already knew I wasn't going to like whatever came next. Sure. There was a pause. Then he cleared his throat. So, Mom is hosting the Christmas Eve charity gala again this year. I leaned against the counter. The one at the Grand Oak Country Club? Yeah, that one. And, another pause. Mom thinks it might be better if you don't come. Silence. For a second, I honestly thought I had heard him wrong. What? She doesn't mean anything bad by it, Ryan rushed to explain. There will be investors, CEOs, business owners. Important people. I stared at the wall. Important people? You know what I mean? No, I said quietly. I don't. He sighed. Emma, please don't make this difficult. My stomach tightened. Tell me exactly what she said. More silence. Then finally, she thinks you might not have much in common with the guests. I looked down at my navy blue scrubs. 12 hours earlier, I had helped stabilize a teenage crash victim. For hours earlier, I had comforted a frightened mother whose child was fighting pneumonia. And now I was apparently not impressive enough to attend a fundraiser for hospitals. Because I'm a nurse? That's not how she said it. But that's what she meant. Emma, no. Answer the question. Ryan exhaled slowly. Yes. That single word hurt more than I expected. We had been together for 3 years. 3 years. Yet somehow, I was still the person his family felt embarrassed to introduce. Fine, I said. Really? Really? Thank you. I knew you'd understand. But I didn't understand. Not at all. After the call ended, I sat alone in the supply room. For the first time, I wondered whether Ryan loved me, or whether he simply loved the version of me that never challenged anyone. The version that stayed quiet. The version that accepted being pushed aside. And deep down, something told me that Christmas Eve was going to reveal the truth. Christmas Eve arrived faster than I expected. By 6 o'clock that evening, I was already walking through the sliding doors of St. Mary's Medical Center. Outside, families were gathering around dinner tables. Children were opening early presents. Holiday music echoed through restaurants and shopping centers. Inside the emergency department, none of that mattered. People didn't stop getting sick just because it was Christmas. The waiting room was packed. A construction worker with a broken wrist. An elderly woman struggling to breathe. A young boy who had burned his hand helping his mother cook dinner. Just another holiday shift. At least that's what I thought. Around 10:45 p.m., everything changed. The ambulance bay doors burst open. Incoming cardiac arrest, a paramedic shouted. Every nurse and doctor immediately moved. Training took over. Adrenaline replaced exhaustion. The patient was a man in his late 50s. Expensive suit. Luxury watch. Silver hair. The kind of person who looked powerful even while unconscious. They started CPR at the event, one paramedic reported while pushing the stretcher. Collapsed without warning. What event? I asked. The Grand Oak Christmas Gala. For half a second, my heart stopped. Ryan's mother's event. The very place I wasn't welcome. Then I pushed the thought away. None of that mattered right now. A life was hanging by a thread. Let's move, I shouted. The room exploded into action. Monitors. Medications. Defibrillator. Airway equipment. Everyone working together. The man's heartbeat had disappeared completely. Flatline. The worst sight in emergency medicine. For nearly 40 minutes we fought for him. 40 minutes of compressions. 40 minutes of medications. 40 minutes of refusing to quit. Sweat ran down my forehead. My arms burned. But nobody stopped. Because sometimes the difference between life and death is simply refusing to give up 1 second too early. Charge to 300. The machine beeped. Clear. His body jerked. The monitor remained silent. Nothing. My stomach sank. Again. Charge. Clear. Another shock. Another attempt. Another chance. Then suddenly, beep. A single heartbeat. The room froze. Beep. Another one. Then another. A rhythm. Weak. Unstable. But alive. We got him, I whispered. Nobody celebrated. There wasn't time. We stabilized him and rushed him toward the ICU. Only after he disappeared through the doors did I finally step back. My hands were shaking. The familiar aftershock of saving a life. My coworker Sarah walked over beside me. That was close. Too close. She glanced at the patient's chart. Then her eyebrows lifted. Wow. What? She turned the chart toward me. The name at the top made me stare. Michael Harrison, founder of Harrison Technologies. Billionaire entrepreneur. Philanthropist. One of the most influential men in the state. The exact type of person Ryan's mother considered important. The exact type of person I supposedly had nothing in common with. A bitter smile crossed my face. Funny. Tonight, the billionaire had needed a nurse more than a networking partner. More than a business executive. More than anyone at that gala. For 40 minutes, his entire world had depended on people like me. People his family barely noticed. People who worked holidays while everyone else celebrated. I looked through the hospital window toward the ICU floor. Michael Harrison was alive, and he had absolutely no idea who had helped save him. But soon, that was going to change everything. Marcus sat frozen in the chair. For the first time since their relationship began, he had no answer. The silence between them felt heavier than any argument they had ever had. You really think that's what I believe? He finally asked. Olivia looked at him for a long moment. I think that's what your actions showed. He lowered his eyes. She continued. Your mother didn't just exclude me from one event. She dismissed my entire career. And instead of defending me, you asked me to stay home because it was easier. Olivia, I never meant to hurt you. But you did. Her voice stayed calm. That somehow made the words hit harder. You wanted convenience. You wanted everyone comfortable. The donors. Your family. Your mother. She paused. Everyone except me. Marcus rubbed his forehead. I was trying to keep the peace. No, Olivia replied. You were protecting yourself from conflict. Neither spoke for several seconds. Finally, Marcus stood. His face looked defeated. I don't know what to say. Then maybe that's the problem. He stared at her. For a moment she thought he might argue. Instead, he nodded slowly. I guess I deserve that. He picked up his coat. At the door, he stopped. I do love you. Olivia felt tears sting her eyes. I know, but love isn't always enough. Marcus swallowed hard. Then he walked out. The door closed quietly behind him. And just like that, 3 years ended. The next morning, Olivia returned to the hospital. She expected another exhausting shift. Instead, she received a message asking her to visit room 814, the cardiac recovery unit. She knocked softly. Come in. Inside sat the man whose heart had stopped on Christmas Eve. Ethan Parker, one of the most powerful businessmen in the state. Yet today he looked surprisingly ordinary. No expensive suit. No crowd of assistants. Just a grandfather sitting in a hospital bed. When he saw Olivia, his face lit up. There she is. Olivia smiled politely. Good morning, Mr. Parker. Ethan. He pointed at the chair beside him. Please sit. His daughter Sophie stood nearby. She immediately walked over and hugged Olivia. The gesture caught her completely off guard. Thank you, Sophie whispered. You gave us another Christmas. Olivia felt her throat tighten. She wasn't used to gratitude. Most patients left the hospital and moved on. Few ever saw the people who had fought for them during their worst moments. But this family remembered. And that meant more than they could imagine. Ethan leaned back against his pillow. The doctors told me exactly what happened. Olivia smiled. It was a team effort. Funny thing, Ethan said. Every person I've spoken to keeps saying the same thing. He pointed directly at her. They all say you were the one leading the fight. Olivia laughed softly. They're exaggerating. No. His voice turned serious. They aren't. For a moment, the room became quiet. Then Ethan asked a question she didn't expect. What can I do for you? Olivia blinked. What do you mean? You saved my life. I'd like to repay that debt. She thought carefully. Money wasn't what she wanted. Recognition wasn't either. Then an idea came to her. One that mattered far more. If you really want to help, she said, help the nurses. Ethan raised an eyebrow. The nurses? Olivia nodded. We're exhausted. We're understaffed. And every year more good people leave because they simply can't keep going. She took a breath. Help us stay. Ethan slowly smiled. Now that's an answer I respect. The next morning, Emma walked into the hospital expecting another ordinary shift. Instead, her department director asked her to come to the administration office. For a second, her stomach tightened. Had she forgotten paperwork? Missed a protocol? Made some mistake she couldn't remember? But the moment she stepped inside, she knew this was different. The director smiled. Take a seat, Emma. I have some news. Emma sat down cautiously. The hospital board approved a major funding package last night. 8 new full-time emergency nursing positions. Better salaries. Better benefits. Better support staff. Emma blinked. Wait, what? The director slid a folder across the desk. The funding is being provided by Victor Harrison. Emma recognized the name immediately. The man whose life her team had saved on Christmas Eve. He insisted on creating a long-term program dedicated to emergency nursing support, the director continued. And he personally recommended you for promotion. Emma stared at the papers. Promotion. Additional staff. Resources the department had desperately needed for years. All because someone had finally listened when she spoke. You've earned this, the director said. Not because you saved one patient. Because you fight for every patient every day. For the first time in a long time, Emma felt seen, truly seen. Not as somebody's girlfriend. Not as someone who didn't belong in elite social circles. Not as a woman who needed approval from wealthy people. But as a professional. As a leader. As someone whose work mattered. Later that evening, Emma shared the news with her coworkers. The nurses' station erupted with cheers. You're kidding, her friend Melissa laughed. We might actually get lunch breaks now. Emma laughed too. Let's not get too ambitious. But deep down, she felt something shift. For years, she had measured herself through other people's opinions. Now she understood something important. The people who truly mattered had never questioned her value. The patients whose lives she touched. The families she comforted. The co-workers who trusted her. Those were the people who saw her worth all along. 6 months later, the emergency department was thriving. The new staff had reduced burnout. Patient care improved. Morale improved. And Emma had become one of the strongest leaders in the hospital. One afternoon, while walking through the ER, she paused and looked around. Doctors moving quickly. Nurses helping patients. Families receiving hope. Lives being saved. And suddenly she smiled. Because she realized she had gained something far more valuable than a relationship. She had gained respect for herself. The kind nobody could take away. Call to action. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And tell us in the comments, have you ever had to walk away from someone who couldn't see your true worth?